Good evening, everyone, and welcome to my presentation about how to help students realize their learning norms. I hope that you learned something from my presentation, as I learned a lot from the research in doing this assignment. So let's begin. Why do these norms and expectations matter? Well, first of all, if we have high expectations of our students and what they need to achieve and how they need to do on their test, then they should be able to have expectations of us and the staff and the student and the administrators in the building. It is necessary to have these norms if we want students to stay engaged and stay in school. And if we want the school to improve, we must hear our students' voices. So those are the top 3 reasons why we need these norms and expectations. The first norm, relationships, and I preach on this so much. This needs to be a priority for all teachers. You need to know beyond the general information, beyond what you get in Synergy on the main page of a student. You need to know what they want to be when they grow up, what are their interests, what are their talents, what's their weaknesses, what's their home life like, what's their struggles, and how can we help them form relationships with adults and other peers that can help them be successful in life and serve as mentors and models. Relationships are so important. If you have good relationships with your students, they will believe and do anything you ask of them. The second norm is relevance. Students ask me all the time, will I use this in my future? Will I use this later in life? And we have to figure out how to make things relevant so when we answer that question, we're being honest with them and not just coming up with a random answer. It's a powerful way to get students that are reluctant to learn engaged. So we must connect our teaching with what their interests are. We must build lessons that take into account their interests and their future career interests. When I say interests, that's what I'm talking about. And how they learn best. Are they visual learners? Are they hands-on learners? We have to make the real world connections with their learning, and we must explain how their work contributes to their community. And a lot of times when I talk about this relevance, I always tell them that it's all about the problem solving. Like, you might not use this exact concept of math in your future life, but I'm teaching you how to problem solve, how to persevere. So that's just my 2 cents on the norm relevance. The third norm is time. Teachers, we feel like we give students the time they need and not the time that they might need. We have to remember that they have 7 other classes that they work on or 8 other classes they have work on. So do we consider that when we consider how much time do they need? Do we consider that they need to learn at their own pace, that not everyone learns at the same pace? They are each their own individual. And do we give them time to have a deeper understanding and understand the why behind it? So that's when that whole piece of going deep and not just broad, but understand the deepness of their learning. The fourth norm is timing. The order at which students learn concepts can be manipulated to fit the needs and learning style of a student. So we have to consider that not all kids take Algebra 1 as a freshman. Sometimes they might take geometry. Sometimes they might need foundations. And so we have to, again, individualize their learning. They don't all need to follow the same sequence. Even in an individual class, is a sequence best for their students' interest? Do we help them in determining when is the best time to take this class in terms of what their career interest is? So we have to guide them in the timing as well and understand they are each their own individual and not one size fits all when it comes to timing. The fifth norm is play, and I put these dice here because I think of manipulatives. Do we allow them to make mistakes, manipulate their learning, and try again? Use manipulatives to understand their learning. One mistake doesn't equal failure. We have to create an environment where they can explore, experiment, discover, fail, explore, experiment, discover, try again, get it right this time. We have to understand that a loud classroom isn't always bad, and a quiet classroom isn't always productive. We have to give them the chance to think out loud and think with their group, whatever the case may be. We have to create an environment where they feel safe to make mistakes and get back up and try again with their team or individually on an independent learning situation. The sixth is practice, and the difference mainly between play and practice. Practice is when you get that repetition in order to sharpen your skills and perform to the ability that you need to. This is when we get to coach them. We have to give them feedback after each attempt. And then they get that repetition of practicing over and over, and it ingrains it in their memory. And we have to teach them to persevere at the same time because we give them multiple attempts and they have to keep falling and getting back up, falling and getting back up. That's what the practice norm is all about. The seventh norm is giving them choice. It's all about menus, telling them that you have options for how you show me how you demonstrate your knowledge, how to perform, how to complete the assignment. Giving them a choice on what they learn, when they learn it, how they learn it, and how they demonstrate their learning. And then we have to guide them in these choices. Again, going back to, do we have a relationship that we know their interests, know where they're going in life, and what their career path is? So we have to help them. And the less options they have, the less they're going to care. So you're only hurting yourself as a teacher if you don't give them those choices and show them that they each have their own individual way to learn. The eighth is authenticity. We have to show them the value of it and not just be fake and a show. And some schools do that. The setting, people, places, and context need to be real and not present a fake reality. Students have to see real world problems. We have to be transparent. We have to give them a chance to get their hands dirty, not all out of a textbook. We have to let them do the experiments and get their hands dirty. Learning and work must be significant to the outside of school and not just busy work. We have to give them stuff that is real world applicable and that they see the significance of it outside of our classroom. The ninth one is challenge. We have to challenge them. Even though they might not show it, they want to be pushed. They want to be challenged. And some kids don't know that that's what's best for them. It's more than completing assignments. They need to understand the real world standards of quality in learning and work. And then we have to support them. That's our job as teachers in these challenging moments so that they keep trying and don't fall and just quit. Rigor, big buzzword right now in education. This is what creates rigorous learning. We have to do cross-discipline connections. That's where the rigor and the challenge comes in, and connect it to then the real world. And this is what excellence looks like in the classroom, is when we make those connections from in my classroom to other classrooms to in the real world. The 10th is application. And I put this picture here. I just saw this in a training the other day, and it's how learning happens. We have to put theory and practice together in order for students to really learn. They need to see this relationship between theory and practice and be able to apply what they learn. In high school, I see this so much, and it makes me so happy and honored to have the opportunity to teach high school students, because they get those chances to do the internships and the observations and develop a competency. They get a chance to see the tangible results of what they've learned in class, especially in the tech classes and such. See how professionals think, perform, and learn in different careers. So application is so important, especially when they get close to graduating and figuring out what career they really want to pursue. And again, to tie this all together, why is this so important? It's imperative, these 10 norms, that we have them in order for students to learn and be successful. We need to evaluate a school both on teacher expectations and student expectations being met. And this is the part that we need to challenge all schools and school leaders to do in our future society. This is my final statements, including my standard correlation, the relevancy of the assignment, and my reflection. I will give you a moment to read. And then my one source, a very powerful source. So I hope you learned something from my presentation and you enjoyed it, and I hope you all have a great evening and a great rest of your week, and happy February, and let's go March.